Football is awesome. Coming to you September. Well, this will drop on September 21st, 2022. I'm your host, Ernest E.J. Christian. Another week of the football podcast brought to you by the Ernest Speaking Podcast. Of course, we do this every week on here. We drop this on Tuesday nights, Wednesday mornings. Of course, we'll get to our power rankings in just a minute with Mikey B. Of course, student of the game reports with Kyle, Nash, and then we close the show as always with the Degenerate himself, Zack The Degenerate. Him and I go against each other. I won week number 2, so I think I won week 2. I gotta check to make sure. We'll get it in a second, of course. But as we do every episode of this show of this whole thing, we open up with a cold open with me, and I want to focus on a couple of things here, mainly on the now 7 winless teams in the league. Now we have 7 winless teams in the league. As we're now 2 weeks into this very chaotic and fascinating NFL season as it is, a lot of things that probably thought were going to go certain ways have not gone that way with certain teams. There's a couple of teams here actually on this list here of winless teams that are winless that I thought would be much better than they are right now currently. But here's the good news for those teams. There are still 15 weeks left. Now, some of these teams are 0-2 were expected to be here, so there's no surprise, of course. But there are a couple of teams on this list that, again, that are stunning to be here. And I'm stunned out here right now this early in the year. But we'll see. Like I said, 15 weeks of football left to be played here, so we got a lot of football to be going. To go, should I say. Can't talk today, I don't know why. So let's get to it. But of course, this podcast, Earthly Podcast, of course, on all podcast catchers. Subscribe to the Earthly Podcast also on YouTube, please. YouTube. We have crossed 100 subscribers. I think I have 103 now, actually, 104. And we're getting there, man. So this, of course, YouTube, this show, while this is on the podcast, of course, not this clip here, but the other 3 segments with Mikey and Kyle and Zach also have their own video to themselves as well too. So if you're checking the clip section of the Ernest Speaking Podcast YouTube channel, you'll see clips of those respective segments. Anyway, like I said, I did say that we have 7 teams right now that are winless currently right now. Let's go start with the first team here on my list. I have the Tennessee Titans here, 0-2. Embarrassing loss to the Buffalo Bills last night on Monday Night Football. Should be surprised. I picked them to win the game. I picked them to cover the spread. It's no big deal there, but this is how bad it was. Even without Gabe Davis, the Bills dominated. Tennessee probably should be in New York last week. My Giants last week didn't happen, of course, but I did warn you guys though. I did warn you guys that the Titans are going to take a step back this year. I did warn you guys. And so far I'm looking correct on that. Now, the good news for the Titans is that they play in the AFC South, which right now nobody has run away with that division. Only one team's won. In fact, only one team has won a game this year in that division. That is the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we don't know how good they are yet. We'll see how that goes. So I'm putting the panic meter right now at a 5 for the Titans for only one reason, just because of the fact they play in the division. Now, yes, I did not pick them in the division. I picked the Colts in the division. However, the Colts look pretty shoddy themselves, which we'll get to in a second. They're now actually the Colts. They're metered at 8 because I had they should have been, obviously they came back and tied the Texans last week, but they should have won that game going in, and they probably should win the game this week too. Now, granted, they haven't won in Jacksonville since Barack Obama was president. 2014 was the last time he won in Jacksonville. So clearly it's a thing now. Clearly that whole not winning in Jacksonville is a thing now. It really is a thing. It's almost a decade long now. But I gave it 8 because I don't like what I'm seeing. This is one of the look. I didn't think they'd be a Super Bowl contender, but I thought they'd be a team that in the mix in the AFC. And again, as I said earlier, there's a lot of football to be played, so let's still have some perspective on that. But at the same time, they got embarrassed. They got shut out in Jacksonville. They ended their year. Last year, their playoff dreams died in Jacksonville, Week 18. And then you come into this, it's wide open. I give the Titans a little bit of a leash because, they have, a balanced team. I don't like what I'm seeing with Matt Ryan right now, honestly. Jonathan Taylor's been meh, So I'm going to give the Colts panic meter at 8. And while we're in the division, let's go to the other team that's winless. The Colts are 0-1-1. The Texans are 0-1-1 as well too. Give them 1 because again, we didn't expect them to be good. In fact, I said when it comes to the year that the team that would be drafting first in the 2023 NFL draft will be the Texans. So the fact that you have a tie, and then they've been competitive actually too against Denver in Denver this past week, Houston's actually been one of the more frisky-ish teams so far 2 weeks in. They've should have been in Indy last week, based on the game played out, and then they were in that game against Denver this past Sunday. So I gotta give Houston some credit. And by the way, Davis Mills looks capable. Actually, I'm not saying he's a future of this team or whatever, but he does look capable of someone that can probably put a nice little career together if they surround this guy around with talent. So I give him a 1 on the panic meter. Okay, the Carolina Panthers, 0-2. Give him a 6 because Dave Tepper, the owner, is not very patient. If you listen to what he says, Matt Rule, low key, probably in the hot seat now. I mean, he has a 7-year contract. It's like year 3, I believe. But the way David Tepper sounded through the years since taking over as owner a couple years ago, is that he wants to win now. And they went after Baker Mayfield. They got Baker Mayfield in the trade, and he's been okay, I guess. A game they lost to the Giants this week. A game they probably should have won. I'm a Giant fan saying that. Last week against Cleveland, a game they probably should have won as well too. The Baker Bowl. So very disappointing start to the year for the Panthers. Like I said, they are at a 6, maybe a little higher. I mean, especially the fact that the AFC South, the Bucs are 2-0, but the Bucs have some flaws there. They look like has a little bit of flaws. So there is the division for the taking to some degree. There is an opportunity here, if not to win the division, but at least with the wild card. And the Panthers are already behind the ball, 1-2. So right now, I think if I'm Matt Rule, I'm sweating bullets a little bit here. The Las Vegas Raiders. The team that I picked to win the AFC West. I look silly saying that now in hindsight. Now 2 games they should have won. I mean, they almost won against the Chargers last week. Chargers are clearly the better team right now on paper. Let's be clear. So they got a pass last week. But the way they lost against Arizona this week, up 20-0 at halftime, up 23-7 going to the 4th, and then just melting down in overtime. That's problematic. So I'll give them a 7 because of the nature of the division, the nature of the conference, and again, if they miss the playoffs by a wild card, miss playoffs by a tiebreaker or division title by a tiebreaker. Week 2 is what you're looking at right off the cuff. I'm looking at week 2 right now. It's like, okay, you should have had that game against Arizona, a team that again an Arizona team that we're not even sure how good they are. I'm still not sure how good they are based on what happened on Sunday. So 7 for the Raiders there. 2 more teams here. Atlanta Falcons 0-2, a 1 because they're supposed to be bad, but yet they almost beat New Orleans last week. Down big as the Rams week 2, came back, had the ball with a chance to beat the Super Bowl champions. I'll give the Rams as much credit. They are frisky as they come. They are definitely playing good football, hard-nosed football. They're trying to, they're fighting, that little fighting spirit there. Marcus Mariota and company. But they're a good team. So what they're doing is not expected. So, like the Texans, they're another team that actually probably wants to lose games so they can get a draft pick. So a 1 for the Falcons. Okay, finally, I said the best for last. The team right now, probably the most shocking team to be on this winless list. That is the AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals, 0-2. Not just lose to Dallas this week, but lose to Dallas without Dak Prescott. I mean, we heard all offseason long that they fixed the O-line. They fixed the offensive line. Everything was fine. And then Joe Burrow was getting beat up. Now, granted, first 2 games, they play against elite defenses. I will consider Pittsburgh an elite defense. I consider Dallas right now, honestly, an elite defense with Micah Parsons. But you can't lose to Dallas like that. You can't lose to Dallas without Dak Prescott. Okay? Especially when you lost to Pittsburgh last week. That can't happen. So I'm very concerned about the Bengals. But I only place it at a 5 because every team in the AFC North lost this weekend. Ravens, Steelers lost, Browns lost in shocking fashion. The Bengals have a chance to turn things around, but they got to start now. They'll start now. So I think they will turn things around. Because I think their problems they have are fixable. So I'll give them a 5. So there you go. Last thing before we get started on the cold open. Last week Thursday was the first game, Thursday Night Football game under the Amazon Prime banner. I actually enjoyed it. The only thing about the Amazon Prime I didn't enjoy is that when I try to, if you watch the game on your mobile or an iPad and you swipe the game up and put it in a corner so you can surf the net in the meantime or do things on your device, it won't allow me to do that. But otherwise, I enjoyed it. Al Michaels, of course, the legend. Him and Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk Herbstreit, I like a lot. I do like Kirk Herbstreit a whole deal. But listening to him on Thursday, not saying that I don't want to be on Thursday Night Football, but he definitely is clearly a college guy. Like, I'm hearing him talk, and like I'm thinking I'm watching a college game. You know what I'm saying? And I guess, obviously, you associate him with college football because he is the number one color guy in college football. Especially on ESPN. So it was a bit of an adjustment for me listening to him talk with Al Michaels about watching the game, but I think it'll grow on me. I think a couple more weeks of this, I think it'll grow on me. I'm a big broadcast guy. I grew up growing up loving Pat Summerall, John Madden, and those guys, and especially in basketball, in Marv Alberts of the world and all that. I think Kirk Herbstreit will grow on me on the NFL side as well too. But it was just weird trying to get used to hearing his voice in the NFL parlance now. It's a little weird, but like I said, like all things, everything's new, and then what's new becomes, familiar, at some point. So I'll give him credit there. So, but I did enjoy I thought they did a great job. I thought the production was fantastic, and and it's Al Michaels, dude. You never feel Al Michaels. So anyway, that's the call open for this week. Let's get started with Mikey B and the power rankings. Then, of course, the Game Report, and then we end this show with EJ, myself versus the Degenerate for week 3. Here we go. Power rankings time. Week 3 power rankings. Mikey B. Mikey, another crazy week of football. Diggs got a fancy lot. Dude, Diggs was fantastic last night, wasn't he?
So I went into the week, okay. I was facing a friend of ours, Mr. Jacob.
Okay.
Was looking real good there for a while, early in the 1 o'clock games. And then somebody in your earnestly speaking circle,
okay, community on Facebook,
post that Lamar Jackson was having, quote, a great game and that people should start believing in him. And then Tyreek Hill went off for 56 points. My ass. And then I got 50 last night from Stephon Diggs to win by 30. But I was literally cruising, and then all of a sudden someone was like, look at this guy Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. He's like, great. And then Tua was like, hold my beer.
But to be fair, though, Lamar, they both could be right here. Lamar had a fantastic game, but that fucking defense is kind of just fell apart.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about that because I'm sure there's something to be said about the Ravens on the rankings, at least on my end. All right, before we get to the top 10, we always do a sad 5. I'm going to tell you guys right now on the podcast that comparison to week 1, and even in some ways coming into week 1, lots of shakeup. Because things are already starting to kind of sort themselves already, at least through 2 weeks anyway. So, without further ado, 28, who you got?
Seattle Seahawks.
Guess what? So do I. And they only scored 7 points because of special teams. Was it a fumble or something? It wasn't a regular touchdown.
Defense / special teams. It wasn't anything that the offense did.
Exactly.
Their defense is going to be fantastic to keep them in games. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't, then they'll be in trouble all year.
Yeah. All right, 29.
They won on Sunday, but only because the Cleveland Browns are morons. Give me the Jets, Jets.
I went 29 with Chicago Bears. Back to earth. Again, that game on week 1 against San Francisco was a throwaway tape game. If that game is played on a regular conditions, I don't think the result plays the same way, honestly. And we saw the Bears come back to earth.
I have Chicago at 27.
Oh, okay.
I have them just out of the – because I will say this. While, that game against the Niners is an anomaly in the long term.
Right.
Weather conditions are something that teams are going to have to play through.
True. Right.
And the fact that Aaron Rodgers just owns the fucking Chicago team like a fuck. Like,
he does.
14-2, and the 2 losses are to fucking Green Bay every year.
I just love the Bears fans get mad about it. He says that, but like, where in that is it actually not true? Like, he does own you guys. Let's go. I mean, seriously, 30 he got.
Can we start the Malik Willis era because Ryan Tannehill is not good? Give me the Tennessee Titans.
They came close to getting my bottom 5. They came very close. The only reason I didn't make my bottom 5 is because I weighed quality opponent this week. Only reason why. 30 for me is the Jets, like you said. 29 the Jets. 30 for me is the Jets. Yeah, they should not won that game. But look, if you're letting Joe Flacco to win games, dude, maybe Cleveland should be down here instead. I don't know. Joe Flacco in a year our Lord 2022 is still playing football and actually playing decent football in 1 week. Who knows? Who knew that? Seriously. 31.
Texans.
Me too. I feel bad though because they should be Indy last week.
Correct.
They were in the game against Denver.
Correct.
This week. Maybe not as bad as we thought they were.
This is one of those teams where they're doing it with like no skill players either. Brandon Cooks is their number one receiver. I don't know about you, but nobody's thrilled about Davis Mills at quarterback.
But I will say that he looks capable.
I think he could be really good. And if that's the thing where you get a couple good years out of him and you can put these next couple drafts into skill players, defensive players, stuff like that, and then maybe 4 or 5 years down the road, it's whenever you get a quarterback to come in and take over. Or maybe you're a team that Jimmy Garoppolo fits in the offseason when he becomes a free agent, something like that. Mm-hmm. There are pieces that need to be addressed here. Damian Pierce, their rookie running back, could be good, but they're kind of like handcuffing him with Rex Burkhead. It's just, I don't know. I'm not saying that they're tanking. Let me say that on air. I don't think they're tanking because
they're playing
should have won the game against Indianapolis. Their defense is the same thing that Seattle's going to have to do. Their defense is going to have to keep them in ball games.
Right.
Their defense did a good job keeping the Denver offense at bay most of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But gave them a shot to be in that game late, but I don't necessarily know that long term that's a thing that's going to fit them becoming a team that's going to jump up the rankings. Could they be a team that could fight for a playoff spot because of how bad the AFC South is? Yes.
At this point, all things are in play now in the AFC South.
I mean, we have 2 teams in the AFC South in the bottom 5. Indianapolis is fucking free falling.
They're about to.
And Jacksonville is Jacksonville. I mean, literally, a team with 6 wins could probably make the playoffs in this fucking division.
Yeah, I think at this point now, let's see how things play out next couple weeks, though. But right now, all things are in play at this point. All 4 teams are in play.
At this point, whomever is the team that does not win the AFC West is basically getting a bye week because they're going to play whoever wins this fucking division in the first round.
Exactly. All right, finally 32. I think it's easy. I got the Falcons. What do you got? Yeah.
Now they were in contention, had a shot to win that game. Marcus Mariota.
That's 2 weeks in a row,
buddy. I told you before the season started. I didn't say Marcus Mariota was going to lead him to a playoffs, but I told him Marcus Mariota was a decent NFL quarterback.
Oh, I like him. I like Mariota.
He's been a fan. He's been okay.
Mm-hmm. Always been a fan.
So think if they have Calvin Ridley. Think if they have some other pieces there that aren't there this year. The team ain't as far away from being a 5, 6, 7 win team like they were last year. Just because Matt Ryan isn't playing quarterback anymore.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. All right, here we go. Top 10. For me, there's a lot of shakeup. Some of this also too is do I really believe this? But based on the moment, let's run with it. Week 3 power rankings, top 10. Here we go. Number 10, you got
the Minnesota Vikings.
That's a bad loss last night. That's bad.
It is.
Again, Kirk Cousins.
They dropped a spot because the teams below them also dropped some spots.
Yeah.
So they're not out of the top 10 because of that. But Primetime Kirk did Primetime Kirk things.
Yeah.
He wasn't good.
It's bad luck. Number 10 for me is a team for the first time in the top 10. Give me the San Francisco 49ers. Let me tell you what my logic is on this one. I hate that Trey Lance got hurt. I hate it.
They improved because they actually went to the better quarterback.
Well, saying that, the thing is, we don't even know how good Trey Lance is. We haven't gotten an assessment yet. 4 starts and 3 of them only start. We don't know yet. But this is what I do know.
They went to the better quarterback.
Probably. What we do know is that with Garoppolo, they're steady. And I know now that Lance is gone, it sucks that he's gone, obviously. There's
no, is he going to get benched? Is he going to do anything like that?
But I know from this point on, I'm getting steady the rest of the way. And steady always wins the race.
Mm-hmm.
Steady got you to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Steady got you to the NFC Championship game last year. Just saying. So because I got steady and I saw immediately Granted, it was Seattle, but people will kind of like, oh, Seattle could be pretty decent. No, stop. They shut that shit down pretty quickly. San Francisco number 10. They're the steady wins race team, and not a Jimmy G's the quarterback going forward. Man, insurance policy came through to the shit. Woo! Wow, unbelievable. Number 9.
For the first time in the power rankings of yours truly, I will take the Miami Dolphins.
I like it.
I like what they're doing. I still don't love Tua. I'm gonna be the first one to admit it. I don't love him. I don't. Great comeback. Definitely think Baltimore let off the gas.
Of course.
In that game. First rule of football, I don't care if you're up by 40, be up by 47. Never let off the fucking gas. Here's your perfect example why. My question, though, for the Dolphin and for the Dolphin fan base, and especially the fan base here in South Florida, I don't know that they can keep up with teams offensively like they did Baltimore when teams like that, like Buffalo, have good defenses.
But by the way, week 3.
Yes, 100%. This is their test, is the Buffalo Bills week 3. But what I'm saying is I don't love the fact that a Dolphins defense that, as good as it was last year, allowed Lamar Jackson with Rashad Bateman and Devin Duvernay and Mark Andrews to basically pick them apart for the first 3 quarters of football. I didn't love it. I think that's a question. I don't know that they can keep up with the Bills and the Rams and the Chiefs of the world if that defense isn't going to make a stop.
Of course, right.
So kudos for them to making the comeback. Kudos to Tua for leading the drive to win the ball game. Tip the cap there. Still don't love him as their quarterback. I think that they would be a Super Bowl contender with a Justin Herbert at quarterback, but that's my opinion. But the defense has to not allow teams to get into track meets because that may be a once-in-a-lifetime kind of game from Tua in the fourth quarter. Like, you sit there and now you're expecting him to come back from 21-point deficits. More times than not, it's going to end up with interception, fumble, fourth down stop, stuff like that. And you're going to be more like, well, why the fuck aren't we doing what we did 2 weeks ago against Baltimore? Can't get into that being comfortable. Can't be comfortable being down a lot of points, especially going up against the Bills and the Chiefs and the Chargers and teams like that can score at will.
No, I totally agree with you. And we'll get to Miami. I got mine on the list also too, a little higher. You mentioned the team at number 9 for me, Baltimore. It was Lamar's fault, obviously, but Lamar will get some blame because he's the quarterback. He's the leader. That defense has fell apart. If I'm the Ray Lewis of the world and Ed Reed, I'm embarrassed. Because
Baltimore's always been known for their defense.
Yeah,
that wasn't a Baltimore defense.
No, that was horrific what I saw there. Now that being said, what is the stuff for the narrative going forward? Are they still a good team? If you take away the last quarter, yeah, they're still pretty solid. They've had a 7 of 8 quarters so far that's been positive. So we'll move on from there. But this is a bad look. It's a bad look. So anyway, number 8. You got
me. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Good rebound. Did their job against the Bears. Still don't love their fucking offense.
Don't. Well, and it's the Bears.
That's what I'm saying. Great bounce back. You did what you were supposed to against the Bears. You got the win that you were supposed to, but I don't love their offense. I don't love the, hey, by the way, you may be their number 1 wide receiver this week kind of thing. I don't know which way the wind's blowing. A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones splitting carries and it being like we're going to run the ball 7,000 times a game.
Right.
That works in the regular season, but we've proven that, you're going to have to put up points in the postseason. Question here, though. The defense played good against a team that is a mediocre offense. I'm still not in love with this defense.
No, I think for the Packers, for me, and I'll spoiler here, they're not my top 10. I consider it though, but it's probably like 11 or 12. I gotta see more.
They were 10 last week for me, and they actually won. So I felt like
right. I gotta see more. I trust Rodgers, obviously, but anything else,
sure.
No,
but you don't trust Allen Lazard, Christian Watkins.
Right.
All those guys.
Right.
There's too many questions after 12 and then 33 and whatever the fuck number A.J. Dillon wears. Like, you trust the fucking quarterback and the 2 running backs, but afterwards it's like, well.
But that being said,
figure it out.
I think they play Tampa this week. That can change this week if they win Tampa.
Yes and no. Now with Tampa not having Mike Evans, Chris Godwin with a hamstring injury, you may be facing the Cole Beasley, Scotty Miller show. And if that's the case, like Aaron Rodgers should find a way to time of possession that game to at least keep Brady at bay for a while.
Right. I agree. All right. So you had 8 Green Bay, right?
Correct.
8 for me is the team in that same division, Minnesota Vikings. Embarrassing loss last night. Again, the narrative, I guess it's a real thing. Captain Kirk Cousins can't seem to play, rise his level of play when the bright lights are on.
Well, let's also look at it from this perspective, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Yes,
Okay.
I had Minnesota in the 10 spot in line because they lost and they were the 9 last week. But is this more of a kudos to the team that they played? Darius Slay is arguably the best cornerback in football right now. Took arguably the best wide receiver in football out of the equation.
Yes.
So that's more of a, is Adam Thielen a bona fide number 2 wide receiver in the NFL still? Do they have enough weapons? Is Dalvin Cook a good enough running back? Yes, Kirk Cousins threw 3 really bad red zone interceptions, but he got them to the red zone 3 additional times that if they score 2 of those, that game is a lot closer than it looks.
And by the way, to answer your question, I say yes, because the team I have, number one, they lost last night, took a major jump in my rankings. You'll see the second.
Mine also. So.
Right. And number 2, I didn't ding them much on my list from last week compared to last week. I
only dinged them a spot because
me too. One spot. Me too.
I think it's because of who they lost to.
Right. So you got to play that also too. I think the other team they lost last night might be a problem. Number 7.
Go Chargers. Go.
Where were they last week for you? I'm curious.
I had them at 4. So I dinged them. I dinged them a little bit.
Okay.
I dinged them because if you're a team that has a franchise quarterback like Justin Herbert, you have to do something with that offensive line to make sure he doesn't get the shit knocked out of him.
Right.
And now he's going to be playing with probably cracked or hairline fractures in his ribs for the next 4 to 6 weeks. He's probably not going to practice much for the next 4 weeks because you're not going to want him out there taking a fucking throw the wrong way and something fuck him up.
Of course.
The reality of the situation, though, no Keenan Allen. Mike Williams played just fine. This offense is going to go, and I think we all know that this offense will go. They're a team, though, that's going to have to get the defense together because you can't win shootouts every week.
Right. 7 for me is local, Miami Dolphins. I question putting them this high, though, but you beat the Patriots week 1 in a fairly dominant fashion. Then you come back against the Ravens. Look, you should have been down that big as this anyway. But look, they did their job. They came back and won the game.
I think it's too high just because of the questions on defense.
No, I can understand that, and I think that this is the week I start to I may course correct that.
Obviously,
against Buffalo.
If they go out and lose the game 21-20 or win the game outright against Buffalo, then yes, this is a mission statement from
right. Absolutely.
But if it's 45-14 going into the fourth quarter, I don't expect the same thing to happen against Buffalo.
Right. I totally agree with you 100%. If you saw last night's game, you'll see why. Okay. These next couple could be controversial here. We'll see. Number 6, who you got?
Down 5 spots. Give me the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay. So you got them pretty high, actually.
Had them at 2 last week.
That's right. No, you did that thing.
Loved how they looked going into this game. The offense, again, Rashad Bateman, Devin Duvernay, Lamar Jackson, fine. They're getting J.K. Dobbins back. The offense is just going to get all of its weapons back. The problem is this is not your father's Baltimore Ravens defense. And that's a question that people are going to ask for a long time. Pay Lamar, pay Lamar, pay Lamar. Someone's going to pay Lamar. You're absolutely right. Somebody is going to pay him, and he is going to be a good quarterback for whatever team's jersey he decides to wear in the next couple of years. The problem is if you pay Lamar, that defense ain't going to get any better. Right.
I'm with you. All right, 6 for me, the L.A. Rams. Something's up. Look, it's 2 weeks. I agree. They're at 5 last week. I mean, the Falcons literally had a chance to win that game late. Really?
Yeah. Here's what it is. Breaking news. Listen, Matt Stafford's elbow is fucked.
Yeah, something's up. It could be
elbow. Right, elbow.
Yeah, something's up, and no one can deny that something's up with the Rams. I mean, a little bit of a hangover, maybe. I know the 1-1, they won the game, whatever. A little bit of a hangover, though. Just like your boys in Cincy. A little bit of a hangover for the Rams, too.
A little less of a
something to watch.
In Cincinnati.
No, I agree. I think also where they play at the division of conference, I think they'll figure out a way to make right the ship. But a little concerned on the Rams right now. A little concerned. All right, 5.
For some reason, this guy just can't have good games against the fucking New Orleans Saints. Give me Tommy in the Bucs.
Yeah, something about that. Unless they play in the playoffs, of course.
He just for some reason he looks at the schedule and he goes, "What weeks do I want to shit the bed? Oh, we're playing Marcus Lattimore. We'll go those weeks."
Okay.
I don't get it. He never had this problem whenever he was with the Patriots. He never had that week on the calendar every week where it was like, "Hey, we're playing Buffalo this week. Let me shit the bed."
But there were certain teams though, like even back in New York, he play whether it be location or certain teams.
He always hated playing in Miami. Let's be real.
Miami and then the Ravens. The Ravens was going to issue.
That's because the Ravens, back when he was in the fucking with New England, that defense was actually
good. Right. And to the Saints' credit, their defense has been really good the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. So they've actually carried that team, to be honest with you, even at the end of Drew Brees. So 6 for you, 5 for you. I'd rather you have you said Buccaneers.
Okay,
a little concerned. I actually consider moving them down my list also, to be honest with you. 5 for me. Here we go. L.A. Chargers.
Go Chargers, go.
Now remember, last week they're number 8 in the list. They lost this week to the Chiefs, yet they move up 3 spots because I saw what I needed to see about this team on Thursday Night Football.
They got that.
They should, huh?
They got that dog in them.
They should have won that game. That pick 6 if that pick doesn't happen, they win that game. Probably going away too. They had control of that game pretty much from start to like at least a little early in the fourth quarter.
Correct.
I'm impressed. Obviously, you're concerned about Herbert and the ribs, all that, but in terms of the team overall, I like this team a lot, and I think even off a loss, moving up 3 spots, it was the right spot here. I think right now they're better than all the teams below them for starters. If they play the Rams, they beat the Rams. They play the Dolphins, they play the Vikings, they play the Ravens, Niners, they beat those teams right now. Right now. That's why I feel about that. That's why they're at number 5 on my list. All right, number 4.
You're the LA Rams.
Okay.
Don't love it. Don't hate it. They're kind of like doing their job. I did drop them a spot this week because I just didn't love the fact that they literally left Marcus Mariota with a throw to win the ball game.
Right. It's bad luck.
If there is something severely wrong with Matt Stafford's elbow, like they need to go get it addressed now.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'd be very concerned right now about his elbow.
Because if not, they're going to make the playoffs as the 3 or the 4 seed. Probably win the first round game, and they get the doors blown off of them by somebody later on.
And I know it's early to discuss like division titles and all that stuff, but now again, we mentioned earlier, but the Niners being number 10 for me, stability. Mm-hmm. And also there are problems in the Rams too. Don't forget that they've been a major problem in the Rams. So,
absolutely.
Just saying, Rams ain't maybe very careful. The Niners with Garoppolo now. I'm just saying that could be an issue moving forward. So, hope to take it that elbow. All right, number 4 for me is the team. I can't stand them, but give the devil its due. The Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, and I actually just considered moving up even higher than this. I really did. Really did.
We'll talk about them.
Yeah. I clearly the higher than to me, but man. Great performance this week, last night against the Vikings. Jalen Hurts looked fantastic. Now, again, just like Tua, can we sustain this? Because, and I tell you what, I don't know if we discussed this last week on the podcast, or maybe it was someone else I was discussing with. Eagles have a pretty easy trek to number 1 seed right now, based on the schedule. This is one of the few tough teams that had to play this year, and they passed out flying colors. They played in their own division for starters. We know how bad the division is. It's on paper. They played the AFC South this year, I believe, right? And the NFC North this year.
So their next biggest test will
be the Packers. Right. And the Packers are kind of right now. The same. So the Eagles might have the inside track to number 1 seed this year. Again, 2 weeks in. I know, hot take me. I get that. But let's talk about this long term. Could be Eagles on 1 seed in the NFC. Just saying. Especially the Rams issues. All right, number 3.
Give me Kermit the Frog and the Swedish Chefs.
Move up again.
Moving up again. Hey,
hey, look, they were 13 not even less coming into the year. So again,
moving in the right direction. The offense doesn't look like it took that big of a hit with the loss of Tyreek Hill as everybody thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got to be better.
Yeah.
They can't drop passes.
Yeah, I
they
agree.
can't fucking hope to get bailed out by the defense every week. Yes, they blew the doors off of the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals guys are not good.
Yeah, that's another topic for another day. The Cardinals. I still don't know how good they are. I mean, obviously
they're a C+ team. You're like, cool. We passed math class, but my grade point average is still fucking not a 3.0 to get into.
And you might be a wild card team still this year, but that's because of the environment. I agree. All right, 3 for me. The Buccaneers. Like I said, I actually considered moving them down a spot. I guess I have too much faith in Tom Brady because that's who he is.
Call me.
There was concerns there, but they played 2 elite defenses the last 2 weeks, and they've gotten through those, both on the road. I can credit for that. So, Bucs are 3. 2. I know what 2 is for you, obviously.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
What a performance last night,
dude.
Again, hate to admit it, but get double his due.
And here's the thing: he doesn't have to do what he did against Minnesota last week to stay where he's at.
Right.
Because he plays in a shit fucking division, and his schedule opens up very nicely.
Right.
He can go out there and be mediocre and still win games and still be competitive. Whereas the guy you mentioned in the same sentence, Mr. Tua Tagovailoa, has to be good, if not great, at times against the teams that he's going to face. Perfect example, this week against the Buffalo Bills, he has to go out and almost be perfect because if he makes one small mistake, Bills Mafia will jump all over it. Yeah. Jalen Hurts can be Donovan McNabb and have a clunker of a game after this one. Still probably have a shot of winning the game if they're playing somebody in that division. So I'm sorry. I think that this Eagles offense, A.J. Brown, has been the breath of fresh air that this team needed to have a solid number 1 wide receiver. And I'm going to use this as the example here, guys. And A.J. Brown to Jalen Hurts would be what a Michael Thomas would be to a Lamar Jackson. Give quarterbacks like them a number 1 wide receiver that you actually trust to throw the football to.
Right. Now, Hollywood Brown
to be even more explosive.
Yeah, totally agree with you. 2 for me is easy. The Chiefs again, great performance. Well, good performance because the Chargers come back in that game. Still see some things they need to work on, but overall, you got Mahomes. The defense is playing much better than they have in recent years. We'll see. I think right now
it's easy to have them in the top 5 because when you look at that team, you trust the guy under center. You trust the guy with the Waffle House menu as his play sheet.
Right.
They can be mediocre at points and still win games because you trust the guy that has the football in his hands and you trust the guy calling the plays. It's easy to fall back on comfortability when it comes to a team like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to keep them just solid in your top 5 of your power rankings because you trust the guy throwing the football and you trust the guy calling the plays.
Absolutely. Number 1 for us, I mean, it's easy.
Is there a table shortage in Buffalo yet?
And the thing is, it's not just that they're 2-0. They're dominating 2-0. Dominating out the gate.
Buddy, they didn't have their number 2 wide receiver last night in Gabriel Davis.
Yep.
Stephon Diggs said, throw me the ball 14 fucking times.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. As an AFC founding member here, someone who's got to go through that team if I want to play in another Super Bowl like I did last year, we're fucked.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to put the nice Tua Revenge Tour t-shirts out on social media. No, boys and girls, this is the Josh Allen Revenge Tour. And I hope you guys don't get the doors blown the fuck off of you.
Been saying it. This feels like the stars are aligning. That game last against Kansas City.
I'll tell you right now, we got a date with them in the first weekend in January. Week 17 or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, it is week 17.
Not looking forward to it.
Luckily, I have enough
only
time
way that
now
I'll be looking forward to it is if they're like 14-1 and have already clinched the division, and you're like, you know what? Fuck it. He's only playing the first half because
Right.
Josh Allen is going to fucking decimate anybody. And
luckily,
Dolphins fans, breaking news, come back to me next week.
Yeah,
if Tua does not play as good as he did in the second half for that entire game, you'll lose by 20.
Again, Buffalo won for me as well, and again, it's what I've been saying. And we discussed last week on the podcast. You were saying that 17-0 could be in play. Look at the schedule. I mean, they only got three hiccups really. That's the way. Chiefs, Ravens, and you guys.
And one of them was us. And if we keep playing like dog shit, they got 2 hiccups in front of us.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So just saying. But you know what? You inspired me something about the Eagles. I may write a blog on Substack about the Eagles number 1 seed thing, because I think that's something that people aren't really paying attention to.
100% in play.
Anyway, you follow Mike on Twitter at They Call Me Burn. Of course, he's with me also 1/4 of Take the Wrestling podcast.
Should we name it the Square Root podcast? The Square Root Wrestling podcast now?
Dude, I mean, might as well, right?
I mean, we got 4 of us. So.
Yeah, we got 4 now. We got 4. Although hoping the other guy shows up this week.
I don't see why he wouldn't.
Okay.
I could be wrong though.
I missed that guy. I've actually missed him. Missed the crude jokes and the gay jokes and stuff.
Like I told you though.
Awesome theories and stuff.
This show has gone a lot shorter. He is the intern Mark of Take the Wrestling podcast.
Yes, he is.
Things get derailed very quickly.
But that's okay though. We like that.
I love it. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying things go off the rail very quickly whenever he's there.
Exactly. So of course, check out the Take the Wrestling podcast also on any podcast catcher. Mike, great job as always. And next week we'll see how the rankings look like next week. Week 4.
Oh yeah.
Doing a report. Man, Kyle effing Nash. Another crazy week of football, Kyle. What's up, buddy?
Another crazy week of football. Yet we still live in a world where you have a T-shirt. That's what's up.
A T-shirt?
What do you mean?
Oh yeah. So if you guys don't know this, you guys follow this podcast. You probably know by now. I've been saying in the last couple episodes we've been doing that. I do a pair also on our good friend Big James Neese's podcast, Huddle Up. 2nd season now. We're doing this now. You and I both, especially every Tuesday night. Bing is right. And Jim decided to make a T-shirt based off my. Was it a moniker, I guess we'll call it now?
No, it's your segment where you present your power rankings on Huddle Up, and you're such a tool.
But people ask me where the tool. First of all, it came from you, asshole.
It really is. I didn't.
Okay.
No, sir. I will not be blamed for the muse that is your horrible takes. I forget even what it was you said. It might have been your Cowboys fanhood that you declared sometime this time last year. Okay. No. I will find the goddamn tape, Ernest Christian.
We have lots of podcasts. I got a lot of tape here. Come on, let's go. YouTube. First Speaking podcast.
Away. Oh wait, now suddenly you embrace video. This bitch wouldn't even watch my show on video for how long, and now he's all about it. This damn guy. Anyways, no, but probably around the part where you declared yourself a Cowboy fan last year, I called you a tool for doing so. I had no idea it would stick like it has, but now a t-shirt and a coffee mug.
For the audience, real quick. I am not a Cowboys fan, okay? Let's stop there. I'm a Giants fan.
A Patriots fan.
No, I'm not. I like Tom Brady. I love Tony Romo as a kid growing up. I mean, it's what it is. I mean, I appreciate players more than anything else, but Cowboy fan, hell no.
Okay. This is all so confusing.
Let's root for the Bengals this week. What are you talking about, buddy? Come on now. Anyway, we have Kyle. We have a lot to get to. Like I was hoping. My goal was to, I promised the audience that these episodes wouldn't go 2 hours. First week, obviously, it makes first week.
I'm gonna do my best, Justin Fields. They need to put in more work. You don't rush perfection.
No, I agree. First week, obviously, I makes sense. First week, a lot to talk about. Last week, a lot to talk about too. Come out week 1.
Mm-hmm.
This week, still got a lot to talk about week 2. So I don't know how I don't know if we'll do maybe a little less, but I think we had another long one ahead of us here. But let's get started here first and foremost. First thing on our mind last night, we had 2 Monday Night Football games last night.
We did.
Before we get to the games, can I just ask you, why did we get 2 this week but not week 1? Do you know why?
No, I don't. And it's probably some sort of a logistic issue that, is out of our pay grade or whatever. And it could also be, kind of experimenting with how to do certain things. And I mean, listen, if you're in a position to where you have Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, as much as I think they're overrated at calling games, you use it because it's a popular thing. By the way, smoked your boy Booger McFarland doing prime time for the Monday night games after Chris Berman and he were done. Booger McFarland continuing to be awful at his job, and here comes Joe Buck and Troy Aikman just lighting up, talking about the Monday night game. So that's always fun. And listen, as things lead more towards the streaming platforms and people can talk schmack on Al Michaels paying Jeff Bezos tribute during the Thursday night game, for setting it up, that Amazon Prime is a home for these games. There's going to be a lot more experimentation like this because there's still some things to get figured out. And the biggest entities are the ones that are slowest to change. You and I have had a cut cord experience for some time at home. And now that the NFL is logging in, listen, the only thing that might be more influential than something like the NFL doing this would be the way that porn was influential on video cassettes. Never heard of Betamax? I know you have. You're old enough, but for those who had,
I'm right behind you.
Betamax technology, it was a better quality. It had more storage on each disc, et cetera, et cetera. Died. Why? Because the adult film industry leaned into VHS.
And now we're here. Pornhub.
There's the internet streaming in its original form by way of the adult film industry.
Click. That's all you need to do. Click. Done. We're there. Okay, so we have two games last night. First one, Tennessee, Buffalo. Wow, Buffalo Bills.
No, and
without Gabe Davis too, in fact.
Yeah, I heard about that too. And listen, if you weren't sure as to whether he should go, this is a game you leave him out. I don't think anyone was surprised. My friends Teron Davenport and Mike Patton had to watch this game, and as a matter of being professionals and covering them. Mm-hmm. But nobody won with this matchup, and honestly, I was far less surprised by this result than a lot of other things that happened, including the Sunday night game with the Packers and the Bears. Apparently, there's a reason why Jake from State Farm is staying so rich, and that's because Rodgers has to keep paying on insurance for the property that is the Bears that he owns.
Okay, side note real quick on the Bears and Packers. And look, I respect the fact that it's the longest rivalry history league. I get all that.
When they were the Decatur Staleys,
right? But is there a rivalry I can give less of a fuck about than this one, honestly?
Well, and right now that's fair to say. I mean, the teams are kind of lopsided, but it's they like. I'll put it this way: this in me is in league with Michigan and Ohio State in college, right? That's the oldest rivalry, perhaps the most popular rivalry from a nationwide standpoint, but only lately has it been relevant. How many years straight did Ohio State beat Michigan before Harbaugh did the job last year, right? So it's one of those things where I think we need to keep it alive for the historical standpoint. That
traditional
matters. Yeah, tradition. I'm not a slave to tradition, but I do pay attention and respect it.
But Kyle, you probably won't believe me when I say this though. But even when both teams were actually on equal footing, I never really cared about the rivalry.
Well, that's because you're a basketball fan who knows diddly about.
Oh, come on! Why the basketball on this? I don't get that.
Who is a fan of so many teams that there's no way you could respect rivalry the same way. And as much as I joke, listen, it starts with that fan base. The way the Packers are relevant in a market that isn't is just insane to me.
No, I agree with 100%. I agree 100%.
A big major market in the form of Chicago. There's magic there you can't account for. And as for all the trash I talk as the student of the game and having done the research, there's no way I can account for it. I still, to this day, don't know why anybody gives a damn about Jim McMahon as a quarterback other than the fact that he was one who did the Super Bowl shuffle. That is it.
That's it. All right, back to the Titans and Bills. Bills rather. Oof, wow. Again, we said it last week. Come out week one when they beat, slaughtered the Super Bowl champs. And
Sure.
now this week they're at home. That crowd was whew, Monday football. That crowd was Bills Mafia came out last night.
Well, it's because it's not cold yet.
Well, right, and that's the thing. It's not cold yet, and they still come out it was cold. They're crazy as shit.
That's
man, Buffalo Bills. To me, it feels like this. It's the Bills right now, and then everybody else.
I can't go that far.
Okay.
I can see why you say that. And
Right.
buddy, like the fact that you disrespect your Kansas City Chiefs by making that statement is absolutely ridiculous to me. You're leaving out the part where the Bills have a lot of flash and played against a Rams team that came out flat, that had former players on former Rams on the team for the Bills to be motivated for opening night and go to work. And then the other battle that the Bills have is the hapless Titans, who lost to the Giants, which, I mean, I'm sorry you as a Cowboys fan had to see that happen, but that's a hapless team too that the Titans lost to. There's a reason why they're in the cellar in one of the worst divisions in football. So the Bills have a lot of flash, so it's easy to spot, and I think the answer is somewhere in the middle with the Bills, because I don't think they've truly been challenged yet. Not saying they're bad. Again, still my Super Bowl pick. Again, that flash is making me look real damn smart. But head and shoulders above, yeah, you're hitting the sell button way too fast on this.
Well, that's what I did say last week. I did say it was Bills, Chiefs, everybody else. He wrote about it on Substack. This week, I think there's a little bit of separation between those two teams.
I can't agree with that at all.
Okay, fair enough. And then we had the second game last night, Eagles and Vikings. Kirk Cousins in primetime, it's still a thing. It remains a thing.
So for those who haven't seen the movie Gremlins, I know it's an 80s movie, but there's these creatures called Mogwai who hate bright light. Kirk Cousins is apparently a crossbreed of one. Bright light. Our good friend Matt Muehlheisen, I probably said his name wrong. Muehlheisen. I did say it right. Cool.
Yeah.
Helped me do picks last week. And at one point, I had said Titans by mistake, and he was like, "Oh, that's a pretty risky bet." And I said, "That's nothing compared to siding with Captain Kirk Cousins, is it?" And how right again do I look? So that's the thing. If the Vikings ever flirt with being good, they'll be flexed out of success by having Sunday night games under the lights. So it's 22. That is Kirk Cousins at quarterback, and can we not take away from Jalen Hurts? Wow.
I was just gonna get there. Jalen Hurts. He looked again, and we get to like another quarterback that may have put his name in a docket.
We'll talk about that too, but I'll probably be very unpopular with my take on him.
So it's okay on that one. But
punchline is, if you don't have a good defense, Jalen will make it so that your team hurts by the end of the game.
Yeah, he was fantastic last night, and maybe this is the inflection point now of Hurts being the guy moving forward. We'll see. A lot of football ahead of us, though.
And by the way, for these past two takes, there is no element of I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen, because, I mean, these are things we picked out already. There's a lot of stuff where people are sounding the alarm, and I'm like, you and I don't have this problem, but I'm watching NFL primetime, for example, and here's, Booger, again, embarrassing all of us and stealing money from both you and I.
You really can't stand that guy, can you?
I really can't, because that's a real thing. He's not only stealing money from NFL guys that are trying to cover the sport, but from college football guys as well. And I could let loose with Lucifer Morningstar. I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen. There was so much of that analysis. It's not just him, but I digress.
Real quick, before we get to some of these topics here, you mentioned Amazon Prime, Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit. What do you think about that combination?
Listen, Al Michaels is a damn immortal, and
yes, Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore isn't high enough for what Al Michaels does, and that doesn't. I mean, he could do any sport. I've been alive to where he was a big enough name to on a baseball game on my desktop. That my dad played. He was the voice. Do you believe in miracles?
Yes.
That call for the 1980 Olympics is a signature moment that will live on forever in museums, right? Indiana Jones, it belongs in a museum. You're damn right. Okay. So, and then above that, as an octogenarian, making Kirk Herbstreit look good. Do yourself a favor sometime. Not the whole game. Just pick out a slot of both that Thursday night game and the last game he called on ESPN with Game Day. And what you will see is somebody who's stumbling through somebody who looks good being handed the ball by a goddamn expert. For context, DJ Christian, it's the difference between Eli Manning in the Super Bowl years where he had support and thereafter where he didn't.
That's a reminder. Appreciate it. I thought Kirk, to me, for the most part, like he's good what he does, but he felt out of place because he's a college guy. I hear his voice like,
that's
it's a college thing, you know.
That's a tradition thing for you.
Yeah,
and I hear that. I was able to turn that off. And listen, he did a good job. But again,
yeah, I thought so too.
When you're being handed the ball by Al Michaels, come on. It's just like John Madden was actually pretty bad at his job from kind of an analysis standpoint. He was good at talking O-linemen. He was good at being entertaining. But when you have Pat Summerall or Al Michaels at your hip, you're not going to look bad. It's not possible.
To me, those two that you just mentioned, that's 1 and 2 play-by-play guys all time in NFL. Al Michaels, Pat Summerall. Boom.
Absolutely.
Whatever you want to put, I don't give a shit, but whatever. Something comes close to your heart here. I feel cheated here. I feel really cheated, Kyle. Trey Lance season-ending injury. As a guy who loves football, as a guy that wants to see, we don't know 2 years in how good this guy is. We don't know. 4 starts. We don't know. That's why I get on people like, oh, Jimmy's better than. How do we know that? We haven't seen enough tape to even assess that.
So there's a couple things. First of all, we can't assess that because they're not the same style of quarterback. And
right.
This is proof of the talent of Kyle Shanahan to be able to coach. And this is the proof of the talent of GM John Lynch, Hall of Fame safety John Lynch, and his ability to put together a roster that can be built to two different styles of quarterback can be brought in and show success at a level that you cannot take the San Francisco 49ers out of the postseason conversation, even with a hiccup like the lucky sorry Bears winning that first game, even with the quarterback starting being done for the year, they're still a very big threat. That is called depth, my friend. And I do not have the proper scuba certification to account for that. Now, as far as feeling ripped by Trey Lance being hurt, of course. And I'll see that and raise you this, Ernest Christian. At this point, the guy has missed more games than he's played, or is about to, I should say. It's very likely that happens, right? I'm getting, you're a basketball guy, Greg Oden. Okay. So I think that problem is starting to rear its head. And with the quarterback class that's allegedly coming out next year, that's supposed to be all this, that, and the other thing, and a bag of chips, by the way, according to analysts, right? I don't see, if you're the 49ers, how you don't pass on Trey Lance and try to get the next big thing, because Garoppolo's hitting the free agency market next year. Someone's going to take a shot at him, and you're not wanting to pay Jimmy Garoppolo that much anymore, period.
No, I see your point there.
Yeah, I think, and even while it might be a good football decision to keep him in the building at this point, especially with him smelling the starting spot again by way of injury, what if Jimmy goes, however many weeks straight, and Trey Lance is starting to come back to health? And let's say he's lost 2 games. How do you pull Jimmy at that point? That's a problem.
Yeah.
So, and granted, I appreciate the franchise being flexible and going to win now when going into teaching mode went away. Think of Matt Ryan in his rookie year where the Falcons nearly made the playoffs and he was trying to learn how things were doing, Right. And he came around to eventually be an MVP candidate. That was a smart franchise play by the Falcons. But if this injury robs so many people, and listen, I'm not trying to act like I don't like Trey Lance. I was a jury is still out guy. I mean, he hadn't thrown 100 NFL passes going into the season, and all sorts of stats that you could look up that proved he needs to develop more. But I guess an argument can be made that depending on how his recovery goes, you shut him down for the year and let him get another offseason in. Because the problem is, though, off seasons don't account for accuracy when the bullets are flying.
I agree. Let's do the quarterbacks here. Steelers 1-1 right now. Tough loss to the Patriots this week. Which begs a question now, because a lot of people, two games in, not very happy with Mitchell Tribisky at quarterback.
You haven't added him to your soundboard yet, have you, EJ Christian?
Well, my soundboard is down right now because
because you suck at life. Here, I'm a good voice actor, so I'll go ahead and do it. I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen.
That's right. Oh. Is it time?
Yes,
to bench Trifrisky.
Yes, I'm shouting over it because that name still isn't sticking in it.
Trifrisky.
There,
Got in.
I'm on your show. Let's
Trubisky.
Okay, T-Dog Mitch ain't it, dog. All right? I keep trying to tell you, but you won't listen. All right? No. But Kyle, they're worried about Kenny Pickett throwing interceptions. Okay, great. You know what happens? You lose 27-24 because Pickett throws an unfortunate interception late, or you lose to the Patriots because you can only score 14 bleeding points.
Right.
Okay? And let's be real. Mitchell Tribisky did his damnedest to lose that game last week. Minkah Fitzpatrick willed that team to win.
Yeah, I think I'm there now too. I think
Welcome to the party, pal.
I think in the back of their mind too. Also, they had a time frame when they want to do this. I think they played Jets week 5 or week 4, 1 or 2. That Jet game was probably the time. It may have to be sooner than that, because here's the thing also too for the Steelers. You don't want to lose this team or lose this opportunity to win the division, because here's the thing: everybody's lost a game in that division now. Bengals are 0-2. Okay, Bengals 1-1, Browns 1-1. They're gonna fall apart at some point anyway. Why risk losing an opportunity here with a guy that I think clearly we can agree that is probably better right now as a quarterback than Mitchell Trubisky, of course.
Well, let's say that they're exactly the same, EJ Christian.
Yeah.
And again, the evidence that I brought to the table was a preseason game.
You did last week, yes,
and all that. Well, more than last week to the show, sure, but over and above, I think I've talked about it on the Student of the Game podcast as well. Bing! I still don't understand how you got through that preseason. And again, I am not brave enough to call out my dude Omar Epps. I loved the show House, and he was great at. Wait, what? Sorry, Mike Tomlin. I keep doing that. I am not in a position to knock a dude who has yet to experience a losing season.
Exactly.
In a division that may not have been the best in the NFL, but like Bill Murray was always among the top comedians in Hollywood. The AFC North is always among the top divisions in the NFL. I don't give a damn who you are. If you say otherwise, you're just wrong. And actually, I can make an argument perhaps for some years with the AFC North was the best conference in the league during his tenure. But this is one I don't understand. One I don't understand.
It's probably doing the traditional thing of like, let's wait your turn kind of thing.
Doesn't make sense. You tell me something Tomlin does that's traditional, and you're probably right that that's a possibility, or maybe he leaned with the players because they seem to like Trubisky better. I truly do not know. As a players coach, he might be in a place to support veterans better. I'm with you that that's probably it, but why go traditional now? That doesn't make sense.
Right. I'm with you. All right, this weekend was a weekend of big collapses in the NFL. We had 3 games that teams.
I'm getting sick of sorry. This was a big week. Bitch, did you watch the games last week? We just talked about Minkah Fitzpatrick.
And folks ain't learned this week because we've had 3 more.
We trying to think the Jets should have competed with the Ravens last week because they shouldn't. We're trying to act like Nathaniel Hackett doesn't exist. Come on, fools! I just mentioned the damn Bears.
So. We had 3 big collapses this week. We had the Dolphins and Ravens. Dolphins came back and beat the Ravens. I mean, down 21 points. We had the Jets and the Browns, of course.
I count that.
And then the Cardinals and Raiders collapsed as well too. Of the 3 games, which was the worst? Which was the worst collapse of the 3? In your opinion?
So it's not the Raiders, although a lot of people are going to pick that because they're done.
Okay.
And for me, I'm going to say it was the Ravens, in my opinion, just because it's really easy to look past the goddamn Jets. Really easy to do. And the Browns, I talked about on the Student of the Game podcast. Bing! When I was talking with Booga Peters about it, he mentioned that game, being particularly bad. And, well, he was right. But I almost picked the Jets. And a matter of fact, I had made the statement that if in fact we were in a position to where the spread was wide enough, I might have taken the Jets because of that letdown. I didn't expect to win, but I knew the Browns would not dominate as they should over a Jets team.
Right.
So,
yeah, that really was pretty bad. The thing with the reason I want to pick the Jets one though is because you let Joe Flacco, of all people. Joe Flacco.
That only makes it more appropriate.
He's still more.
I can make an argument that Flacco's an upgrade over Zach Wilson, though.
I'm not going to go there with that because, again, it's Joe Flacco, okay? The fact he's even in the league right now, much less, is shocking to me.
Hey, this is also a team that had Mark Brunell backing up Mark Sanchez. It's a thing they do, dog.
But I will say, though, about Joe Flacco, if there's one positive about Joe Flacco I do like, that long ball is still pretty damn good, though. That long ball, that's about it.
That's all he ever had.
That's all he ever had, right.
Yeah. In my opinion, I know there are Flacco supporters out there, but I digress.
All right, so the name of this episode is called Panic or Nah for a reason. I discussed panic meeting for winners teams on my cold open today on this podcast. I plucked out a couple other teams I want to talk about. This teams I even no matter the record, teams that I want to talk about a little bit and see should it be panicking about the future of the season or not. So here we go. I got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams here on my list I want to discuss here. First one, the Ravens, we just discussed a little while ago. Panic meter, 10 being the worst, 10 being obviously very, very much panicked, or 1 being not so much. Both Ravens.
We're panicking about a 1-1 team 2 weeks into the season. Yeah. Negative 47. Wow. This is why you have a Tool Time T-shirt, EJ, for fuck's sake. You want to know what happened?
I'm just setting you up, brother.
Crazy. You want to be one of these dummies who, Tua is sliced bread. Slow the hell down. Can we have a conversation? What about the rookie that got torched by Tyreek Hill? Did you see any of those?
I saw that.
Passes? He was nowhere on the screen. And you're going to come out. Listen, I'm not one to normally give John Harbaugh and his staff a hard time, but you're shocked that they're going to use Tyreek Hill this way? Now, granted, blown assignments by rookie corners notwithstanding, and that defense being exposed like Janet Jackson in the Super Bowl halftime show, good. Outcoached is the word I'll use. Tua, he didn't have to be accurate because Tyreek Hill was that wide open. And I'm not one to trash Tua. I'm not anti-Tua. But if you're going to make a stand, this game ain't it. This game is numbers, not talent, and mistakes, not performance, in my opinion. But
all right,
credit to the Dolphins for being 2-0.
By the way, I said 19. I added 2 more as you were talking right there. To the list, because why not? All right, next team here, the 0-2 Bengals, panic meter.
Yeah, okay, you could start lighting that a little bit, and it's not so much the 0-2 record or the struggles by Joey Burr that we've seen despite allegedly solving for the offensive line. For me, it's more Jamal Chase making statements and calling for changes in the offense as a second-year player.
Ooh,
and
really?
showing that panic and lack of confidence. That's what makes me worried, and that sort of thing's what chips away. Losing to Cooper Rush is panic-inducing in and of itself, but that is no offense to Riptide Rush, but the facts of the case are those. They are not in dispute.
What number you gave the Bengals?
7.
Okay. The 0-1-1 Indianapolis Colts.
See, the reason why I'm not going to go full 7 on that, like you got to go 5 or 6 because I'm not going to say they are who we thought they were, but I'll admit you would have expected them to win the past 2 games. But a lot of this is underestimating the Jacksonville Jaguars, right?
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
My fellow writer at the 3-point conversion, Ab Stanley, for 2 weeks straight had them 31st in his power rankings, and I Lucifer Morningstarred him, but he didn't listen. Go
and do it.
Oh no, Facebook's coming. But I made the joke when he dropped his first. By the way, shouts to Ab Stanley because he does a good job. But on this one, we disagree. I made the joke of, you have all these guys for the 3-point conversion, bing, that cover the AFC South, and you've listened to none of them. Okay,
that's a you problem at that point.
Correct.
Yes. All right. The 0-2 Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, it's time. I'm going to go right to. I'm going to say 8. The reason why it's not higher is the Buffalo Bills. The schedule's going to step back. I'm going to say 8 for right now because I don't feel like they have a clear answer besides give the ball to Derek, and I'll leave it at that.
And I think also to the division they're playing right now, based on how things are, it's wide open.
Yeah. Again, that's why I can't flick it to a 9, is the opportunity is still there.
Okay. Let's go with the O and surprisingly to Las Vegas Raiders.
Negative 557,000. If y'all dumbasses didn't listen to the student of the game and tell you about how difficult that schedule is, fine. If y'all were too dumb to understand that the Cardinals were a better team after getting smashed by Patrick Mahomes II, we use his middle name all the time, telling you he's a great quarterback. If you're worried about them getting smashed by that guy, hashtag you problem.
All right, the 1-1 Denver Broncos.
Actually, and I gotta correct one thing. The Chiefs didn't beat the Raiders. The Chargers did, but the Chargers, again, really good team. The only question with them being, of course, Justin Herbert. But go ahead. What was the team again?
The Broncos, same division. The Broncos, 1-1.
Yeah, get worried. Your coach sucks. 8. I don't care that you were this close to 2 wins, and that listen, and I might not even be this panicky if the running backs hold on to the ball in Seattle and they win 30 to whatever as they should have. Okay. But Nathaniel Hackett's a problem the same way that Mike Tomsula was a problem in San Francisco, the way that Freddie Kitchens was a problem in Cleveland. That's a problem. And I don't care how much cooking Russ does. If you don't have a kitchen with proper equipment, how do you prepare food that's tasty?
And I'll be honest with you, I could see that being a one-and-done situation if things go way under than it's supposed to.
He might not make the season end at this rate, Ernest Christian.
All right, here we go. The 1-1 New Orleans Saints.
So this is tough for me to gauge because I never bought the Saints. Mm-hmm. Y'all mofos did, right?
I didn't. I told you this.
Excuse me. Right? No, you bought the Red Tails.
I added to the list then too. Shit.
By the way, you got to understand your Red Tails almost lost to should have lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars should both have beaten Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan to completely negate any hope for your Commodores.
Right.
The Jacksonville Jaguars should have made it easy, like Sunday morning. Oh. Anyways, but yeah. So no, definitely a worrisome factor there.
What number did you give it?
For I didn't give it a number.
No.
I got off on the Carson Wentz tangent. This isn't for the. You're not calling for the Commanders, are you? Which team was it?
I might as well, but the Saints. It was the Saints first.
Saints. Oh yeah, I'm not panicked yet because I didn't have many expectations too. Yeah, that's why I didn't remember who it was. I don't understand why anyone's panicking about the Saints. They weren't good. If you didn't expect this, you problem. But of course, you asked because you played yourself. Okay,
I'm not surprised. Okay, Minnesota Vikings 1-1.
They are who I thought they were. No panic here from me. I'm going to give it a 4. I know fans are probably a little worried about the fact that they got beat around on Monday night, but if you didn't expect it, hashtag you problem. I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen. We tried to tell you on this podcast and on Huddled Up, bing, but you wouldn't listen.
All right. Probably going to try some folks to have them on my list anyway, but I'm going to say anyway, be 2-0 Tampa Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'm worried. 7.
Okay.
You should never have been in a position where you barely beat the Saints and you scored 19 points against a garbage Cowboys team before they were all effed up.
Right.
The only reason, I shouldn't say the only reason, a big reason the Buccaneers won that football game was they got in Marshawn Latimer's head. Or check that, not his head. They got him out of the game. Marshawn Latimer was ejected. That's why y'all won that game. And they have such a wealth of receiving talent that at the end of the day, Tom Brady still has a butt ton of talent, targets. Listen, I'm not here to say that Tom Brady is a bad quarterback as an old man, but I'm trying to say that team isn't the same team as last year. They're going to win the division because the NFC South is the worst division in the NFL, and Tom Brady is great at winning shitty divisions. We have seen that throughout the entirety of history, and even a Brady Patriot fan like you acknowledges that.
Yeah.
By the way, all these people calling for Marshawn Latimer to be fined or punished or suspended, you better not call for that, because the actual instigator of that incident in question is Thomas Edward Patrick Bieber Brady. If he does not start jawing and pull Marshawn Lattimore back to start that whole thing. Fournette was the one that he didn't throw a punch, but he made the first hit. He pushed Lattimore. Right. Lattimore responds by pushing him back. Granted, hitting him in the face back, which to me is a punch. But that wasn't first contact. If we're going to hand out, and by the way, I'm pretty sure if you want to go full conspiracy theory, this is why Lattimore isn't getting suspended. Because if you suspend Lattimore, now you got to suspend Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. Now you got to suspend Leonard Fournette.
And we can't have that.
Yeah,
I can't have that.
Whoever else, well, no, that means he could come back home to you for another 11 days. But no, with with the whole scrum that ensued afterward, there would have to be stuff handed down too, because there's some stuff thrown in that scrum, that melee, if you will.
Right. Okay, two more teams here.
Mike Evans should be suspended, and the fact that dumbass is appealing it. I don't dislike Mike Evans. I don't mean to say dumbass there because I don't think he's a dumbass. I think it's a dumbass move to appeal it.
Right.
But yeah, that's asinine to me.
Well, I think they play this week. This next team here, the Green Bay Packers, 1-1.
If they do, yeah, I'm not panicking yet. What is there to panic about? We have an unclear the report card's incomplete. Aaron Rodgers came out and did relatively poor in week 1. That's what the Packers do.
You know what? I can't wait till we do our midterms episode.
Yeah.
Can't wait. In the middle of the year, we've done midterms. We go through all 32 teams and their grade thus far.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait for that episode. I cannot wait. And finally,
way to tease it. Well done.
I cannot wait. We got 7 weeks ago anyway for that. And finally, the last team here, the Super Bowl champions, the LA Rams. 1-1.
Panicking about them? You got 2-0 panics for this and the Packers, right? Why are we panicking in 2 weeks about the Rams? They came out and dominated the Falcons just as they should have, and people were motivated defensively and crushed. Yeah, people keep forgetting it was 10-10 in the first half of the opener against the team we all picked to win the fucking Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Why are we panicking?
Well, the Rams, the Falcons had a chance to win that game last week.
Falcons have a chance to win every game until they blow it. That's why it's incomplete.
This week was reversed though. They were down big, came back, and had a chance to win the game late. So, I mean, I'm looking. I'll be honest. I'm looking for some of the Rams.
Okay, you know what? Fine. I'll give it a 3 to make it.
So you gave it 3, and you get Packers what again? You get Packers what?
0.
Okay, right. All right. Let's go to college football for a little bit. Takeaways. What did you learn this week in college football?
You couldn't learn a damn thing this week for the most part. If you thought Miami was going to beat an SEC team, you were more optimistic than I.
Wait, Kyle. I thought they were back.
Cute. Just like Texas, am I right? Anyways, no. But, with all the lopsided trash games, I mean, College Game Day was in Appalachian State. From a programming standpoint, really easy for me to kind of glance over college this week. But as far as watching games, listen, I had a lot of fun doing the night shift, covering UCF going to Boca Raton to play Florida Atlantic with the black and gold banneret. Bing! But it didn't do a lot else for me. So,
wait, you came down here?
No. No, I would have.
Because if you had, I would have to get together with you at that point. I would have had to have seen you because Boca's like freaking like 10 minutes from my house.
If I knew you lived that close, I might have gone to the game and crashed there, but I'd have to leave early the next morning to get to Jacksonville. That's the problem.
Right.
And it's already 2 or 3 hours from my house. I just tacked on another 2 on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah. We talk about the A&M game didn't surprise you, right? That didn't surprise you. Right?
Oh, no. I picked it that way. And I'm not saying that Miami's bad. They're in the ACC and they're going to do well in the ACC. They're going to get the bowl game. I've picked the possibility of UCF facing them in the first responder bowl as being a thing. So,
right. One more thing. Does it feel like it's just Georgia and everybody else right now?
Yeah. It's certainly hard to argue that. Against that rather. But in this day and age, the way college football has gone so far, I'm not prepared. I'm never going to vote against Alabama having a chance.
Of course, yeah.
But, and I can't even put Ohio State out to pasture as having a chance. But from 4 down, yeah, no, Georgia's stomping it. Period.
And And I say it because like they came to the year feeling a little bit out of the picture. Like they're number 3 in AP.
We were responsible that we were worried they were rebuilding and they were retooling. I get you.
Right. And I mean, they look like a bunch of world beaters now. So anyway, plug away, Kyle. You're a busy man.
Ernest, Christian, and Honor, joy and privilege to step in for another week. Not too many Tool-like takes from you, I have to admit. That was a strong performance.
Saving it for tonight's Huddle Up podcast.
You're gonna blow it when it comes time to the power ranking.
Exactly.
Always do. Although, in the interest of fairness, it was your bottom 5 that was awful last week, not your top 10. So do you want to know my power rankings right now? No,
because I made some course corrections this week.
Oh, there's hope. Okay.
Should I tell you now, or should I wait till tonight's podcast?
No, I want to hold on to hope for tonight.
Because I'm going to post I'll post on my Facebook page and stuff after we air the show.
Listen, I got so much stuff I'm doing today over and above recording this with you, Ernest Christian. I'm appearing on the Legacy Makers Sports with Drew Whittingham tonight. Tonight being Tuesday night that I'm recording. So check that out. I've shared it on my Facebook page, The Student of the Game. I'm stepping in with the Play Callers Network, talking some Jacksonville Jaguars as they do their it's not the matchup mania, but the matchup their matchup show where they are going through each week and going through all the different pairings in the NFL. I am representing the Jacksonville Jaguars and talking to their Chargers expert about how that game is going to go. So looking forward to that. Shouts to Mike Patton for turning me on to that group.
Yes.
And shouts to Cool, the guy that runs the Play Caller Network there too. That's a fun time all the way around. I'm looking forward to that. That's something else I'm doing tonight. Hey, there's this other thing I'm doing tonight. Maybe you've heard of it, called the Huddle Up Podcast.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah.
I already said. I've been saying. I told Jim this, and I said in my podcast on this podcast last week that right now that's probably the most fun I'm having of all the shows I'm doing is the Huddle Up show. I'm having so much fun doing it so far.
It is a
lot
good
of fun.
And not just dunking on you, although that helps. It's amazing that the Huddle Up podcast has so much basketball in it. But yeah, so to recap tonight for me, 6:00 will be the Legacy Makers Sports. I will be on with Drew Willingham in the In or Out sports debate that he does every Tuesday. Mm-hmm. I will be episode number 50. So of course he had something this special for his show, right? Then Huddle Up Podcast, and then after that, NFL Matchup Madness. And that's not even getting into on Wednesday, where we drop the Matchup Mania on the 3pointconversion.com. That's the number 3, not the word 3. But check me out on Twitter at the SOTG. Check me out on Instagram as the SOTG. I mentioned Facebook as the Student of the Game. Of course, my work with the Black and Gold Banneret covering UCF football and basketball. You're gonna have to start thinking about basketball media day here pretty soon for the guys and the ladies. And then, of course, my work covering the Jacksonville Jaguars with the 3-point conversion, as well as the NFL Matchup Mania that comes out on Wednesday. It will be in a very scary theme, EJ Christian, not because of Halloween, but because of the 0-2 marker. Ooh. And over above that, check out my work as well, covering the Jacksonville Jaguars with A7BN Sports, the Captain Company Morning Show with Captain Chris Hill and oldschool101.com. And of course, my guy Demosthenes Euclid and I aren't recording currently, but we
something Demosthenes Euclid, something
hilarity by default on YouTube. At least let me get the damn name out before you talk over me, for Christ. required viewing on YouTube, hilarity by default YouTube channel. EJ Christian, honor, joy, and privilege. But until next time, class dismissed.
All right, EJ the Degenerate, week number 3. Zack The Degenerate here with us, as always. It's both awesome. What's up, buddy?
How'd you like that bone I threw you this past week?
Fuck off, man. I win week 2 by wide margin, actually, in this week. Yeah. I will say, these week 3 spreads, I was going through it earlier to nail down what I wanted to do. They're tough. They're tough. This could be one of those weeks where it can go either way.
Wow, I thought there were a lot of options this week. Do I want to take a team to cover or do I want to take an under? Like, that's how I felt. There so many games that you can bet both ways on.
I'll say this much: this is probably the most over unders I've actually touched on one slate. Like I tend to take like this, the team on the points, whatever. Either way, over unders. This is probably the most I think I've ever done on one line 1 week. So let's get to it.
7?
I went at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, good guess.
Hey, I can remember weeks where you went 5 and 6. So
yeah. So let's get to it now. We got the Thursday night game, of course. The Pittsburgh Steelers heading to Cleveland and face the Browns. The Browns are 4.5-point favorites. The over/under is 38 points. Zachary, when the hell did the Steelers get rid of Trubisky and bring in fucking Kenny Pickett?
Literally after Thursday's game, if he blows it, if he can manage to win and put up some big offensive numbers, they'll let him continue to start. But if it's a struggle offensively and they win a game like 17-14 or something, yeah, you'll get 10 days of Kenny Pickett practicing. And then on that Sunday, after 10 days, I think they play the Jets.
Yes.
They play a scrub team. So
that was a game I had marked before the year started that they may possibly bring him in.
Yeah. So
but at this point, I figured a week to week at this point now.
Exactly.
So, my kid's awake, by the way. But I'm taking the over anyway. Taking the over on this game.
Wow.
What do you like? Right over.
What was the spread again?
38 points. The spread was Browns by 4.5.
Oh,
sorry, buddy.
I'll take the Steelers.
Okay. Hey, buddy. What's that, Zach? You okay? We'll do this real quick. All right? I promise. It's okay. All right. Next game here, we have the Houston Texans heading to Chicago, face the Bears. The Bears are 3-point favorites. The over/under is 40 points. Zach, what do you got like this one?
This is one of those games where you could double dip. You could take Houston to cover, and you could go the under. I'm going to go the under because it's the safest bet.
You going under, you said?
Yeah, under 40, yeah.
I am also going under as well. I think it's a safe bet as well, too. Two of the worst teams in football. Although Houston's been pretty frisky, actually.
Yeah. Justin Fields doesn't even have 200 yards passing in 2 games combined.
What?
He had 60 this past weekend. And if you take away his sacks, it was under 50. I've never seen a game that bad by a starting quarterback who stayed in the game for all 4 quarters.
Right. That's crazy. All right, next game here, we had Las Vegas Raiders heading to Tennessee to face the Titans. Who 0-2, both teams are 0-2. This feels like a lose town game here. Vegas is a 1-point favorite. The over/under is 45.5. Talk about two of the most disappointing teams in the league right now. Although I say Vegas more so, in my opinion.
Yeah, because everyone had hopes for them.
Right. Tennessee, I do take a step back, but that lost to Buffalo too. Also, let's be real. It's the Bills are just head and shoulders better than anybody right now.
Oh, get the hell out of here with that.
Well, them and KC. It's a 2-team race.
Yeah, KC.
Right. So them and KC. That's what I'm saying. But in any case, you know what? Give me the over here. I think Tennessee makes it a game. I don't know if I'm going to bet against them either because of the urgency factor. They are lucky that they play in the AFC South rather, which right now all 4 teams are in it right now. Have a viable shot to win the division.
Look, it's week 3, everybody's in it.
Right, but I'm saying, but like sometimes you just know right off the gate like what teams are what. Right now, if Houston won the division, it would not shock me. At this point, 2 weeks.
All right.
So give me over on this game.
I want to take the Raiders. I picked them to go to the playoffs, and if they don't pull out a victory this week, I essentially believe you can write off any playoff hopes.
Yeah, especially in the division too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially in the division as well. All right, next game here, you have the Kansas City Chiefs heading to Indianapolis face the Colts. The Chiefs are 7-point favorites. The over/under is 49.5. Whew, Indy.
I told you about Matt Ryan. I told you.
You weren't lying, brother. You weren't lying.
Yeah.
You were not lying. Who you like in this game?
I like Kansas City.
I like Indy on the points here just because of the desperation. I think KC still wins the game, but I think because of desperation factor, enter at home.
Was it the fact they managed to score 0 points against the Jags? Is that why you feel so strongly for it?
At this point, though, they haven't won there in 8 years. There's a curse there. At this point,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So
I'll take the actual best team in the NFL to cover.
Okay. Next game here, rather. Could be game of the week here, too. Buffalo Bills heading to Miami, face the Dolphins. The Bills are 5.5-point favorites. The over-under is 53.5. Man, what a comeback last week with the Dolphins. What a comeback. Sick.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah. You had, by the way, you guys just have seen Zach's phone during Football Sunday. Holy shit.
I mean, I told you before the game started, it was all about Baltimore for me.
Yeah, me too. I had Baltimore as well. But I also bet the under in the game, too, and that didn't hit either, obviously. So
yeah, now with 6 touchdowns scored.
Exactly. In that case, I think Bills win this game, but I think the bet here is the over. Give me the over in this game.
I'm gonna step out on a limb. This is probably the game that's gonna cost me this entire week, but I'm gonna take the Dolphins plus the points.
You have balls of steel, my friend. You really do.
They got 2 of the fastest wide receivers.
I totally agree with you. That's why I didn't touch these spreads at all. Because of that, I can see this being competitive.
See, sometimes I see games like this where you just expect so many points that you're supposed to take the under.
Right.
And I want to have the real cojones to say, no, I'll take the under, but I don't.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. All right, next game here, we have the Detroit Lions heading to Minnesota to face the Vikings. The Vikings are 6-point favorites. The over-under is 53.5. Sneaky big game here, actually, in the NFC North.
Yeah, and Kirk Cousins proved once again, even when I finally gave up on the big game stuff, nope, can't win a big game.
Can't do it. Won't do it. Who you like?
I'm gonna be safe and just take the over.
I'm taking Detroit on the points here. In fact, it would not shock me to win this game.
I had it marked for the Lions, but even though my wife's a Lions fan, I can't say it. So I'm just going to take the over.
Yeah. Okay. Next one here. Baltimore Ravens heading to New England face the Patriots. The Ravens are 3-point favorites. The over-under is 43.5. Obviously, Baltimore, rough loss last week in the fourth quarter against the Dolphins. This is a gut check game for them. The Patriots with a big win in Pittsburgh. This is a stay away game. This is a start there as a gambler. It's a stay away game. I'm gonna take a shot in the dark here. I'm gonna take Baltimore to cover this game. I don't know. I don't have any logic. This is more so that Baltimore needs to get that stink off of what happened last week. I'm gonna take Baltimore on this game.
I didn't have a mortgage bet last week. This is my mortgage bet. Baltimore to cover, and it's gonna be a blowout.
Really?
They don't have to worry about 2 guys who run sub 4 threes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they could put linebackers on the receiving core of the Patriots and not have to worry about it. Wow. So I'm not worried about points being scored by the Patriots. I see this as a lopsided blowout.
That's interesting. All right. Next game here, we have the winless AFC champions Cincinnati Bengals heading to New York to face the Jets. The Bengals are 4.5-point favorites. The over-under is 45. Bengals 0-2. Ooh.
Man.
What do you think about that?
Anyone check on Chris lately?
You gotta get him a text soon. Who you like in this game?
Oh, I love Cincy in this game. What Joe Flacco did, I'm sorry. You get that once in a blue moon on your late stage retirement tour, but he's not going to have this team competitive again. Since he's got to be able to fix their line.
Yeah, give me Cincy as well, too. I'm with you on that one as well. All right, next game here, we have the Philadelphia Eagles heading to Washington face your Commodores, or your Commanders, whatever you call them. Eagles are favored by 7.5 points. Over under 47. Wow. Vegas loves the Eagles come out and win tonight, huh?
Oh, yeah. And why wouldn't you? I'm sorry, but Carson Wentz has been so hot and cold the only safe bet you could do is take the over. If he shows up, it's an over. If he doesn't show up, and as bad as Washington's defense has been, it still could be an over. So give me the over.
I'm going to take Washington here on the points, just because we're at home, and it's a divisional game. So these are the games that they show up for. These NFC East games can get weird, and I think Washington is going to be one of those can give them issues. Now, I'm not saying they win the game. I'm just saying that this could be one of those games that may go to the wire. So I like Washington points here. All right, in the NFC South battle here, we have the New Orleans Saints heading to Carolina face the winless Panthers. The Saints are 2.5-point favorites. The over/under is 40.5. Yeah, the Saints. Weird team. Really weird team. I'm gonna go Carolina here. I'm gonna go Carolina here, to be honest with you. Outright.
Well, here's the question for you is, from what I've been reading, Winston has fractures in his back. Is he going to be playing this weekend?
As far as I know.
Damn.
I'm going Carolina straight up, and I think Carolina actually gives New Orleans issues, actually.
I say give me the under. I got to be a chicken.
Chicken. All right. Another decent, stinky game here. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars in L.A. face the Chargers. The Chargers are 7.5-point favorites. The over/under is 48 points. You like?
Oh, I love the Chargers. Look, I'm happy for Trevor Lawrence. He'll have one good game in his career. He can look back against playing the Colts and be like, "Oh my God, we dominated, and it was all about my defense." But Chargers gonna tear that team apart.
Yeah, I'm with you too. The Chargers as well. The only question is how much how healthy will he be this week? He's day to day right now, but I think obviously he'll play. I think he'll play this game. Jaguars are kind of sneaky though, like frisky. Just saying. All right, we have now the LA Rams. This is actually going to be a pretty decent game, I think. Here, the LA Rams heading to Arizona to face the Cardinals. The Rams are 3.5-point favorites. The over/under is 49 points. Rams kind of shaky out the gate here.
Look,
little hangover action there, you think?
You're replacing your blindside tackle. All right. You had to expect some struggle along the offensive line, but I really like the Rams this weekend. All right.
I think the bet's the over. Honestly. Because I still don't know how good Arizona is, to be honest with you. I still don't know.
Yeah, Arizona's had one good quarter. That's why I can't.
Yeah, one good quarter in overtime.
So I'll just take the Rams. Safe.
All right, 4 more games to go. You have the Atlanta Falcons heading to Seattle to face the Seahawks. The Seahawks are currently 1-point favorites. The over/under is 42. Whatever. It's gonna be over in this game. Call it a day.
I gotta do it. All right.
Mortgage bet?
I'm sticking with Atlanta. All right. I know there's gonna be that 12th man, and it's gonna make a huge difference, but I'm gonna take Atlanta.
All right. Next game here, we have the Green Bay Packers. Probably another game of the week here. The Packers heading to Tampa face the Buccaneers. No Mike Evans, of course. It's a pick 'em right now. The over/under is 41.5. This is easy for me. I'm still not buying Green Bay just yet. Give me Tampa at home.
Yeah, and I'm actually just gonna go with the under in the game.
That's it, really. Interesting. Low scoring game, you see, huh?
Well, you take away Mike Evans, Tampa has been putting up points. Green Bay, other than really one big play to Sammy Watkins, they haven't been outstanding on offense. So I like the under.
Okay. And 2 more games here. We got the San Francisco 49ers heading to Denver to face the Broncos. This game is also a pick 'em. The over/under is 45 here. Broncos kind of weird out the gate, huh?
Dude, talk about a coach who could lose his job before mid-season in his first season.
Right?
He what did he say during the interview process that made you go, "Yep, that's the guy"?
Nathaniel Hackett may not be able to hack it. However, I'm gonna go Denver here.
So
just because they're home. They're home. No logic there. And finally, the real game of the week, Monday Night Football. The Dallas Cowboys and the New York by football Giants, who are 2-0, surprisingly. The Giants currently are 2.5 favorites. The over-under is 39.5. Giants aren't that good, man. They're well coached right now through 2 games.
They are well coached. But did anyone think there was going to be a chance in hell that the Giants could be in sole possession of first place after 3 weeks? Washington's got to pull out a victory also. But, I mean, good God. For you guys to have a chance of being 3-0 to start.
But was it Cooper Rush? 2-0 starter. The Cowboys, divisional game. They shocked the Bengals last week. I am not. This is no gimme, buddy. Give me the under.
Likewise, I'm taking the under because of Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons is probably the top 5 player in the league right now, overall, not just defensive player, overall player in the league. He's that good.
I won't go top 5 overall, but yeah, he's one of the 5 best defensive players in the league.
Easily. Obviously, no buys this week. Quick FSU minute before we get going. 3-0. Hey.
3-0 and still not getting any respect.
That's fine. Don't talk to us. Don't talk to us. Leave us alone. We'll get respect we need to. Any word on Jordan Travis? Is he coming back next week or what?
I haven't read anything so far about it. But
the backup
looked great. I mean, he was not afraid of the moment whatsoever.
I agree. How about 3-0 despite Mike Norvell trying to give away 2 games?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not a fan.
Hopefully he gets scooped up by Arizona State or something.
Yeah.
But
I'll take Urban Meyer back. No. You take Urban Meyer to Florida State?
I would take him. I'd take Dan Mullins. But my number one guy, if we could get rid of Mike Norvell, we better go on our hands and knees and ask Deion Sanders to come.
Yeah. That's cool. Anyway, good luck with your picks. As always, good job by you. And I'll see you next week.
Yeah, man. Good luck.
All right, buddy. Later.
Later.